One Zambia, one nation, and a happy International Children's Day. Now, welcome to Zanis News. To present it, my name is Margaret Kangwa. The headlines. Zambia joins global community in commemorating Children's Day of Broadcasting. Government to close non-compliant coal mines. CEEC invests 80 million kwacha on 40 fish farmers. Plus, children aged to participate in sport activities. In other news in detail, Southern Province Minister Credo Nanjua says coal mines in Sinazongo districts which are failing to meet statutory obligations and not complying with labor laws risk being closed. Speaking during a fact-finding mission, Mr. Nanjua says government is not happy with some investors abrogating labor laws despite reaping huge profits. Gift Banji brings us the details.
Mine workers are frequently exposed to occupational disease due to inadequate supply of personal protective equipment, injuries from explosives, and casualization. However, Southern Province Minister Credo Nanjua led a delegation from government-run ministries on a fact-finding mission at Kolam Coal Mine, African Power Coal Mine, South Vale, and Sunnycrest, which reviewed non-compliance to statutory obligations and abrogations of labor laws. This high-level delegation was also shunned by some mine directors who were reported to be in Lusaka, despite being notified on time, a situation which did not set well with the minister.
We gave good time notice that we'll be visiting, and then you say we are giving excuses. The next thing that I'll hear is that they don't hear English, they cannot speak English. And there's a lot of negligence here. So all this negligence, I want to take it that it is deliberate. Look at where we are. Is this the boardroom? If me, I can be brought here, what more my relatives? Since they're running away, the only way to bring them closer, fast, is to shut down everything here. I know tomorrow they'll be in my office. Do I need to tell the president that this investor is running away from government, who is not even compliant, whose license was acquired dubiously?
Kolam Coal Mine Acting Manager Ernest Chibomba and African Coal Mine Manager Kelvin Malundu had this to say.
The way the structures were built, a number of statutories that border on the labor-related vis-a-vis the employment system that we have. Majority of them now are bordering on what we can say the policy decisions that need to be made at corporate level.
Then to the western side, you'll also be able to see that this is where we have got the Chinese houses. We call them Chinese because these are for expatriates, the senior ones. And here where we are, this is also the Chinese restaurant.
Justin Chimbo represented the grieving workers. Both Southern Province Principal Labor Officer Helen Mwanza and Southern Province Mining Bureau Manager Dixon Banda aired their concerns.
We gave them directives in which to remedy interventions to do with safety also and sanitation, among other issues.
Any mine site, immediately you do your box, you must immediately start your benching so that you stabilize. Now imagine if we had the rains like this, then you can easily have the sloughs.
Now, the Ministry of Defense Permanent Secretary Noman Chipaku and his Lusaka province counterpart Robert Kamalata have toured some fields in Luangwa district. The visit is meant to assess the impact of dry spell in the area. Here is the details.
Defense Permanent Secretary Noman Chipaku and his counterpart Lusaka Permanent Secretary Robert Kamalata were in Luangwa district to assess the impact of the dry spell. Both Mr. Chipaku and Mr. Kamalata have assured the people of Luangwa that government will ensure that no one dies of hunger. The two leaders further appealed to the traditional leaders in the district to ensure that the meal that government will provide is not taken to the neighboring countries.
Instructions given to the Minister of Defense were as follows: that we must make sure that every bag which is produced this year, as you are aware, we have been helping FRA to make sure that we collect all the maize. And we're also given instructions that we must make sure that we feed our people. We help working with the defense forces to make sure that no Zambian starves. And we also given instructions to immediately start planting new crops along the wetlands, along the rivers, and use irrigation, use center pivots to be able to produce maize.
And consoling that the head of state has assured the nation that no one will starve. No Zambian citizen will go to bed without eating. And then, by so doing, we have put certain measures.
The traditional leaders are happy with government's quick response to the impact of climate change.
So boma poteka mtima izapanga maplani
the two permanent secretaries were in the district to respond to the president's declaration of the prolonged dry spell as a national disaster. Lista Ndumba, Luangwa district.
And the farming community has welcomed the announcement made by President Hakainde Hichilema to provide relief food to communities affected by the prolonged dry spell. Lakson Makosa now brings us the report.
As a national disaster and emergency by President Hakainde Hichilema during the State of the National Address has elated farmers whose crops have not performed well due to the drought induced by the El Nino weather phenomenon. An estimated 1 million hectares of crop has been destroyed due to the drought, posing a threat on the country's food security. This has raised anxiety among the farmers who largely depend on agriculture for sustainability.
Tia wakavotu maupwatalika kuyuma mumwi ingawa bweza bya machezi wakwenya wamana wayashaula yakamulilo kavotu kavotu ayumavi awina cho twapanga this year takwa ivotu bya mumyunda to
umane kulima mapopwe amayira ino mukubula jorwe inhula tiani tia ukwa so ni nzala bya ipupululwa biya.
In response to the crop failure, government through the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU has put in place measures to provide humanitarian aid in the form of relief food to the hard-hit farming communities.
Short-term measures. We shall channel more resources. As a government, as a people, as a community, we shall channel more resources towards humanitarian relief purposes to ensure that our affected citizens do not go hungry.
The gesture by government has been well received by farmers who have been adversely affected by the drought. The decision by government to provide relief food is aimed at cushioning its citizens against the looming hunger. For Zanis, I'm Lakson Makosa.
Still in agriculture news, the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission, CEEC, has invested over 80 million kwacha as empowerment to 40 fish farmers on Lake Kariba in Siavonga district. This is under the Zambia Aquaculture Enterprise Development Project. And CEEC Director General Muwe Mungule says government wants to enhance the aquaculture subsector business in the district through the fish caging on the lake. Let us get the details.
The Citizen Economic Empowerment Commission, CEC, in Siavonga district has funded 40 cage fish farmers on Lake Kariba. The fish farmers were funded under the Zambia Aquaculture Enterprise Development Project to a tune of over 8 million kwacha. The Director General implored stakeholders in the sector to enhance collaboration on management of the cages in order to grow the aquaculture industry in the district.
In total, we have about 40 projects, plans that have been funded in the district, out of which we seem to have the numbers that 16 have defaulted. We believe that your office, as well as the local authority, would help us to, in fact, ensure that the government's vision as regards the subsector is achieved.
But the district administration is concerned with the high levels of defaulting on loan repayments by beneficiaries.
This office will not condone anyone that defaults, because this is public money, which is a revolving fund, whereby when these people pay back, those on the lineup will also benefit.
Later, the CEC and fisheries officers checked on the beneficiaries on the lake.
Here on the lake, we've been able to see some of the farmers that are not only responsibly utilizing the fund, but they are also expanding their businesses.
The beneficiaries have commended government for the empowerment.
I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the government for empowering us youths. We've been in the compound, just loitering, looking for some pieceworks, but here I am now, I'm empowered.
Mkwengu Shapande, Zanis, Siavonga District, Southern Province.
Meanwhile, Eastern Province Permanent Secretary Paul Tole has urged their Provincial Development Coordinating Committee members to fully support irrigation farming efforts. This follows President Hakainde Hichilema's policy directive on increasing irrigation farming activities in the wake of climate change. Lubasi Mutafela filed in this report.
A lot has been said about irrigation farming to mitigate the negative effect of this year's drought. The people of Chasefu district in Eastern Province are blessed with 20 water dams that are not being utilized for crop production. The district administration now wants local farmers heed to President Hakainde Hichilema's guidance to grow food through irrigation farming.
We're encouraging the people of Chasefu, including these others that would also come in as businessmen, that let them come to Chasefu, come and invest in the irrigation, because this time around, I'm sure with this drought and the presidential call to say, let's go irrigation way, that would also help us to enhance the production of food in our district.
And authorities in Chadiza district want the business community to assist local farmers access irrigation equipment so that beneficiaries of the Constituent Development Fund loans can locally access the equipment.
We want the CDF right now that people should not always lobby for a loan in terms of money, but in terms of boreholes, in terms of irrigation materials, equipment. So far, we have also encouraged our people, the business community, they make these equipments available in their shops.
Meanwhile, Eastern Province Permanent Secretary Paul Tole has told members of the Provincial Development Coordinating Committee to encourage the business community to support irrigation farming efforts.
The Provincial Development Coordinating Committee, PDCC, is urged to encourage the business community to capitalize on the investment opportunities that are existing today, particularly in agriculture and tourism. While the government commits to investing in infrastructure and ensuring an efficient civil service to reduce the cost of doing business.
This pronouncement has excited the business community in Chipata.
So we are happy that the issues around irrigation, the facilities that will be there, the loan schemes that will be availed can be accessed by people in the private sector. And this is happening at a time when the country is facing adverse weather in terms of a drought that is there.
Mtafela, Zanis, Chipata District, Eastern Province.
Now, as children took over to airwaves today, 3rd March 2024, to mark the International Children's Day of Broadcasting, they have interacted with government officials and other stakeholders. And Tapiwa Piri from Children's Zanis News team now gives us a report.
As children take over the airwaves today, 3rd March 2024, to mark the International Children's Day of Broadcasting, the children interacted with government officials and other stakeholders. Among them was Zanis director Lois Siley to get her views of the celebration.
For us, like I said, Zanis is a news organization. So the day of broadcasting for children, is a day that we recognize that young people also have a role to play, and that's why you are participating, in this interview, for instance, this afternoon. So for us, we look at young people as the leaders of tomorrow. You are the people that will come and take over these roles when we are retired. So it all starts from the young person. The young person becomes a young adult, and the young adult becomes an adult, and eventually you take over these roles. So for us, we look at young people as the pool from which we nurture talent, for future journalists, for future writers, for future editors, for future camera persons, for future photographers. So for us, we have opened our doors for young people to come and express themselves. It gives us an opportunity also to spot talent and help to nurture young people who want to go into media. So we are happy to open.
The children also met with Director Child Development at her office at the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services.
Voices, children's rights, our collective responsibility. The interpretation to the core is that we are simply reminding ourselves. We are reminding ourselves that your voices and your rights are our collective responsibility, in a manner that we should encourage you to speak up and tell us what you want us to do. Tell us how you feel about certain things that we are doing. We are also saying that your rights cannot be achieved if we do not collectively come on board to make sure that they are achieved.
International Children's Day is being celebrated under the theme Children's Voices, Children's Rights, Our Collective Responsibility. For Zanis News, I'm Tapiwa Piri reporting.
We continue with the news. Children were today given a platform at Mpika FM to take over the airwaves today to cast news, poems, interviews, and interact with one another. Through this platform, the children have highlighted some of the issues that affect them. More in this report.
Children from different schools in Mpika have celebrated International Children's Day of Broadcasting. At Mpika FM, they have been given an opportunity to take control of their operations for a day, including newscasting.
For children, this day symbolizes a truly inspiring and inclusive experience. It does not only acknowledge their presence, but also validates their perspectives, ideas, and initiatives.
Children face a lot of challenges. Therefore, they have appealed to government to help them.
Children have rights like right to education and right to express themselves, but you might find that the rights have been violated.
They don't have soap at home. They don't have sugar. We want the president to help us.
We experienced too many teenage pregnancies in Zambia.
So the government should do something to help us. And they should be building 2 main schools in rural areas so that many children should be going to school.
Amaria Mangea for Zanis in Impika, Muchinga province.
Now, the Ministry of Information and Media Permanent Secretary Tabo Kawana has reaffirmed the government's commitment to looking after the children's welfare. He said this in an interview when the Zanis News Children crew, which visited his office. The crew also interacted with the Assistant Director in the Office of the Vice President, Department of National Guidance and Religious Affairs, Godfrey Kauma.
The theme, and in answering your question, it is important that children's rights are upheld. Children are heard. They should be heard not only in their homes, they should be heard in their school, they should be heard in society, they should be heard in church, they should be heard everywhere where they have a right to speak out, a right to express what they want or who they want or whom they want to be. And that is what this government has created, an enabling environment. For example, you can see that for this Children's particular day, we have facilitated that all media houses should allow the children to take over the stations.
I feel the theme sounds very good, and I think it comes at a right time, which talks about children's voices, children's rights, our responsibility. My understanding of this theme means that, especially as parents and even elders in society, we are being called upon to hear the voices, the concerns, and the cries of the children so that we attend to their needs. Because many times we tend to pay a blind eye to the concerns, the cries, maybe the plight of children. So basically, it is a wake-up call to us, especially elders and society in general, that we should be concerned with the needs, the cries of young people, because they are the future leaders of our nation and society at large.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you, you are welcome.
Still on Children's Day, the Copperbelt Province Permanent Secretary Augustine Kasongo says there is need for government and parents to work together to protect children's rights. Mr. Kasongo said this in an interview with pupils in Ndola. Let's get the details.
Over 200 pupils from diverse schools in Ndola district have gathered at Dominican Convent School to celebrate the International Children's Broadcasting Day with the theme dubbed as Children's Voices, Rights, Our Collective Responsibility. Copperbelt Province Permanent Secretary was excited to be visited by the pupils at cabinet offices.
We need to ensure that you've got good health. We need to ensure that there's shelter for you. We need to ensure that the education for your local government is giving you free education. Basically, we also need to protect you from any vices that may harm you. So your rights are very important. But once you are given the rights also, you must ensure that you do the right things at your homes.
Ministry of Community Development and Social Services was out there to support the event.
Media is here to support you because you want to bring your voices, that is your concerns, your aspirations, and you want to present these to the policymakers.
Masala Girls Secondary School pupil is delighted that government has brought out pupils in numbers to share ideas on children's rights.
We have gathered here at the Dominican Convent School to celebrate Children Broadcasting Day. It is a wonderful day. We thank the government for bringing up this day because it's bringing the voice us to speak up as children, and we are getting to be heard by the government.
The event consisted of drama, poems, and dancing with a view of disseminating information on the awareness of observing children's rights by the public. Jacqueline Mova, Zanis, in Ndola.
And now in Luapula Province, Mansa welders are appealing for empowerment loans to enable them have backup power sources in case of power outage. And 9-year-old Jordan Chikumbi spoke to the welders and now reports.
Zambia has been ravaged by a long drought that President Hakainde Hichilema has declared a national disaster. The drought has destroyed crops across the country.
Fellow citizens, in view of these challenges, we have taken a decision, a decisive decision as a government. And in accordance with the Disaster Management Act number 13 of 2010 and other relevant legislation, as a servant of the people, we hereby declare the prolonged drought spell as a national disaster and emergency.
The effects of the drought are worse in southern part of Zambia, where most of our hydroelectric power comes from. In the wake of the looming power crisis, welders in Manza town are already suggesting solutions.
Vakateka valilanda menshi ati imfula tailokeshe sana so amenshi tazikwete so fwe waweuda tuwomfya amalaiti yafuma kumenshi so ife imfula tailokeshe tutwakavilisha sana vakateka vatu tutako empower ama gensets so that twalevomfya kwevi tulepanga madeski so kuti yale afuilishako ma classes fine and then aye na madeski ngatakuli amalight state yapangwe.
The welders want empowerment in order for them not to lose revenue.
Obuteko nangu bayilishanye ku buteko. Nangu bayilishanye ku buteko te government. Nabela kayibalelo lera vyafine nga yanyishi ya malight. So kamonga ni government acho bashimya fieva kitashanyishanya. Tubatu filafine dimbikalo ni mwashita kwa ma genset pali amalight nga yaye. Mwambo kubomfya ko genset mwasha ko genset mwabomba ko bomba.
For Zanis TV, Jordan Chkumbi reporting in Mansa district.
We move to Northern Province where a grade 6 pupil with hearing impairment at Mambwe Mission Primary School in Senga Hill district has called on government to stiffen the law on child marriage to protect children, especially in rural areas. Details in this report.
Zambia has joined the rest of the world in celebrating the International Children's Day of Broadcasting. This day is used to highlight issues affecting children and solutions being made to address these problems. In Senga Hill district, children had this to say.
Children with disabilities also have a right to education. Parents, stop early marriages.
I want to tell my fellow children not to rush into marriage, but wait until they are full grown up.
And a grade 6 pupil at Mambwe Mission Primary School encouraged children in rural areas to use this day to champion their rights.
It is very common here in Senga Hill district for parents to take their children in the fields and caterpillar collection during school calendar, depriving them the rights to education.
The Senga Hill District Administration highlights some policies aimed at promoting children's rights.
We really hold you people in high esteem, especially for a girl child, because you are the future of tomorrow. Now, there are a lot of policies which government has put in place. To begin with, we can talk about the reentry policy. So that policy itself is there to ensure that this child is given maximum education, because it's you people are going to take over from us. In addition to that, you can talk about the comfort. So those are policies which government work hand in hand with the NGOs. These really look at the education of this girl child. So it is up to you, children, to ensure that you take advantage of these policies which government has put in place.
This year's International Children's Day of Broadcasting is being celebrated under the theme, Children's Voices, Children's Rights, Our Collective Responsibility. Reporting for Zanis in Senga Hill District, Mike Willett Ngulu.
The news continues. The 46th Kakoro Kavalamaja has been commemorated in honor of the Zambians and Zimbabweans who died during the liberation struggle of southern Rhodesia and now Zimbabwe. Speaking during the commemoration, the Defense Minister Ambrose Lufuma says the freedom that the two countries are enjoying came at a great cost as it led to the loss of many lives. We have more in this report.
Defense Minister Ambrose Lufuma says the freedom that Zambia and Zimbabwe are enjoying came at a great cost as it led to the loss of many lives. Speaking during the 46th Kakaro Kavalamanja commemoration, Mr. Lufuma said the event is not only important for the people of Luangwa, but for the nation and the people of Zimbabwe.
A very important event, not only for the people of Luangwa district, but also for the entire nation, and indeed for our colleagues in Zimbabwe. This event reminds us of our gallant men and women, both military and civilian, who sacrificed their lives for the liberation of Zimbabwe and indeed the whole of Southern Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, this freedom we're enjoying today came at a great cost as it led to huge losses of many lives of the gallant men and women whose souls are resting in peace with our Lord and Savior. Government, through the Republican President and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Force, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, appreciates the role played by Zimbabwean government, Yezians, and other stakeholders in ensuring that this annual historical event continues to be observed with honor. Kavalamaja Kakaro commemoration will always act as a reminder of the role played by our country in the liberation struggles of Zimbabwe and other southern African states.
And Zimbabwean Ambassador Charity Charamba thanked the government for the role that Zambia played during the liberation struggle of Zimbabwe.
Zimbabweans, it reminds us of Zambia's immense sacrifice in ensuring that Southern Africa was set free, and this also includes Zimbabwe. Zambia's sacrifice in the name of assisting your neighbors to break free from the colonial chains was quite immense. We will forever be indebted to Zambia.
And Lusaka Province Minister Shumliata has urged parents to preserve the history of Kakaro Kavalamanja and impart the information to the young generation. Later, the defense minister and his delegation towards some memorial sites. The commemoration started with the laying of wreath and a candlelight service at Kakaro Memorial Site. Lista Ndumba reporting in Luangwa District.
Now, Minister of Health Sylvia Masebo says government is formulating a policy to improve access to healthy for hearing impaired in the country. Ms. Masebo said this in a speech read on her behalf by Ministry of Health Deputy Director for Clinical Care and Diagnostics, Richard Nsakanya, during the commemoration of the 2024 World Hearing Day. Sarah Miti now gives us the report.
World Hearing Day is a day when the world comes together to highlight the issues of hearing loss and other defects and the importance of early identification, prompt intervention, and preventive measures. To commemorate this year's World Hearing Day, scores of Lusaka residents and medical personnel have gathered in Lusaka's Mandevu area. President of the Ear, Nose, Throat, Audiology and Speech Association highlighted the main challenges faced by people with hearing and or speech impairments in the country.
Zambia has quite a few number of hearing centers and other ENT or ear, nose and throat specialists and other people who screen and treat hearing loss. So we would like to acknowledge the fact that we want to expand the skills amongst the health workers, the community, and the general public in awareness about hearing loss. It's called an invisible disability because, especially in children, it takes years naturally in a household before you notice that this child has a problem, and usually this is when trying to enter school.
Minister of Health Sylvia Masebo, who was represented by Deputy Director for Clinical Services, assured the gathering of government's commitment to improving access to health services for the hearing impaired.
I'm also cognizant of the difficulties our hearing impaired citizens face in access health services, to access healthcare services due to very few healthcare workers trained in sign language. I want to assure the nation that my ministry is developing a policy that will ensure that every citizen will not have challenges accessing healthcare services in this. It is disheartening to observe that many types of hearing impairment are preventable or reversible with appropriate interventions, such as early diagnosis, proper management. In direct response to this, my ministry has put up mitigation interventions for early diagnosis and treatment. We are intensifying awareness about hearing health, encouraging early seeking healthcare behavior, especially for children, to circumvent delayed diagnosis and treatment.
Turkey Hearing Institute Executive Director explained that the institute has managed to develop more ear, nose and throat specialists around the world, including Zambia, in its quest to improve health service provision.
Guest of honor, I would like to actually announce that we have now graduated 103 professionals serving in 19 countries across Africa. So that is quite a huge achievement. This achievement would not have been possible without the support of the Ministry of Health. They have been our all-weather partners who have supported us, who are supporting us here today. All of us here who are healthcare workers are excited to be part of this journey.
Statistics show that about 1 million Zambians have hearing and or speech disabilities, and experts have advised that with early detection and intervention, most of these conditions could be reversed. It is therefore hoped that with the interventions from government and cooperating partners, the numbers could be reduced. Sarah Miti for Zanis.
A team from the Swedish Embassy has visited Kalomo district to check on how the financial empowerment project We Effect is benefiting the targeted households. The initiative gives out grants to some targeted women clubs and cooperatives to help improve their livelihoods. Here is a report.
Women empowerment is one of the social protection strategies that government and its cooperating partners has put in place to alleviate poverty among incapacitated households in communities. Zambia, in partnership with the Swedish government, is providing grants to women through the We Effect organization in an effort to improve the livelihood of some targeted clubs and cooperative members in Kalomo. Swedish Social Protection Officer Heilev Ekberg, with her team, inspected some women income-generating ventures to prove the worthiness of this financial injection.
That money helped us a lot. Like me, I'm even taking my children to school because of that money. My business has proceeded. Yes, I'm okay this time, although we still need you to help us.
Some clubs and cooperatives are also catered in the Supporting Women's Livelihood program under the Community Development Ministry.
This program under JUEO is helping us through taking our children to school. We'll be able to have to make our businesses like gardening, and we have also opened the grocery shops. And also we bought tailoring machines.
This intervention is aimed at improving the livelihood of women that have opted to join clubs or cooperatives.
Ano pondi wano mapezi agari mapatiro koja kuti agari kuetesha ari mutagwe na agari kunomana kuti ndatakanjira mu program yakuti ndinke kuti godwa godjira mutavi wa hefa agari mapati maningi tinojindi ndisumpugide byanga ndangu kuraliboni yamugwashi basi chikoro barasama imugwashi wangu boneka byoka potu masenke mubwa atagariwo suna agaba kubara maruvuro byoso kubara mamasenke mpongo zatagariwo sindatagajisi kusomugura musidi sunondire mpongo janda jampongo kusomu 5 mpongo sindagawura suno siri 20.
The local community development office is happy with what is obtaining on the ground.
We went round, we all started from Kalomo, we went to Monde, then we all went around to see the fruits of. Really appreciate what you are doing to our community.
The hard work and commitment of women under the supervision of the Kalomo District Women's Association has cheered the Swedish team.
Thank you all for sharing your stories and showing your products and the things that you've made out of this project. I really to congratulate you on the achievements that you've made so far. So let me just also say that Sweden invests in the development in Zambia in many areas. So
Reporting, Martin Mashekwa, Zanis, Kalomo in Southern Province.
And on the sports segment, Federation International Football Association Assistant Referee Diana Chikotesha has urged parents to encourage their children to participate in various sports activities to identify their talents. Chikotesha says sports activities help children to keep fit and refrain from engaging in illicit behaviors. And Mauz Kabengo has more in this report.
Zambia today joins the rest of the world in commemorating the International Children's Day of Broadcasting, ICDB. ICDB is an annual event dedicated to promoting children's rights and amplifying their voices through broadcasting media. To honor this day, Federation of International Football Association Assistant Referee Diana Chikotesha interacted with children at Brentwood Academy in Chilanga and encouraged pupils to participate in various sports activities.
You can be very good netballers. You've heard about Sydney in athletics, okay. So there are others also who are doing very well in Zambia, who are doing athletics, who are playing netball, who are playing basketball, who are playing football, volleyball, javelin, discus, call them. What I'm encouraging you right now is that you need to make sure at this age where you are now, your teacher should be able to know which sporting activity are you good at.
Some pupils at Brentwood Academy expressed their sentiments.
Sports make you stay fit and it's fun to play with friends and family.
Sports is very healthy, it keeps us fit, and sports is needed to keep us young and energetic.
I would love my parents to help me go to a football academy.
This year's International Children's Day of Broadcasting is commemorated under the theme Children's Voices, Children's Rights, Our Collective Responsibility. Miles Kavingo for Zanis in Chilanga District, Lusaka.
Finally, in the news, Speaker of the National Assembly Nelly Muti has called for the use of sports activities to raise awareness on climate change. Muti was speaking at a corporate social football match between members of parliament and diplomats accredited to Zambia. Audrey Kalenga covered the event and filed in this report.
It ended in 3-2 in favor of the diplomats in a corporate social football match between parliamentarians and diplomats played yesterday at the showgrounds. The match was organized by Africa Rivers to raise awareness on climate change.
We are interested in participating in answering some of the questions that the continent of Africa continue to face. Among such questions are, how can the continent improve water security and water harvesting techniques? How can climate finance help bridge the gap in the water sector and also encourage the private sector investment? How can food system work for a growing African population faced with unrelenting climate change developments? How can we grow the blue economy and renewable energy without negating the life in our water?
Speaker of the National Assembly, Nelly Muti, has challenged every Zambian to get involved in planting trees and saving the environment.
The National Assembly of Zambia has already started rolling out this initiative to all the 156 constituencies with the goal of planting at least 1,000 trees per constituency. May I take this opportunity to throw a challenge to all of us that are here today, that let's have a challenge of planting at least one tree. We can post it on our social page, like Facebook and what. Each one of us planting a tree. I'll start planting one tree myself tomorrow, and we throw that challenge to everyone. With all of us planting at least one tree, we'll have 20 million trees. Can we imagine that, what impact that will have? So let's go for it. We can never lose this war.
And British Ambassador to Zambia, Nicholas Hooley, said, "Sports is a unifying factor and a good platform to spread messages of climate change."
You're absolutely right. Today is all about raising awareness for the effects of climate change. And of course, we've seen in the last few weeks the terrible impact that climate change can have on environments around the world, including here in Zambia, the drought that most of the country has suffered over the last few weeks. That's a big result of climate change, and it's important that all of the world comes together to work together to tackle the effects of climate change and to mitigate and adapt.
And parliamentarians have also welcomed the move by President Hakainde Hichilema to declare the current drought a national disaster and pledge to continue using sports as a tool to spread messages on climate change.
Today, as we come together to enjoy a free of competition, let us also take a moment to reflect on the correlation of sports and the environment. And I believe that climate change undoubtedly is one of the greatest challenges of our time. And while sports may seem like a world away from environmental issues, they are in fact deeply intertwined. Indeed, as a day that what has really happened to us as a country and what we've experienced, it is just important that we really put more effort in combating climate change.
Position that has taken the president to declare a national disaster, because climate change is real, so we need to be united as a country, as leaders, to fight and sensitize and engage our people in our various constituencies. Agriculture is a key driver of our economy, mining is one, to grow our GDP, so we can't. So as a country, we need to sensitize through sports. You've seen us playing football here, sponsored by Zambezi Rivers and other key stakeholders, or key players who has made this possible, this event. So even in our constituencies, we need to engage youths, various youths in our constituencies to play football, netball, various sporting activities, so that at least as leaders we can talk about this climate change.
The march was held under the theme, "Kick out the dangers of climate using sports and awareness for sustainable development in Africa." Audrey Kalenga for Zanis Sports in Lusaka.
Now that sporting item brings us to the end of the news. Before I finish, we look at the stories that made us headlines once again. Zambia joins global community in commemorating Children's Day of Broadcasting. Government to close non-compliant coal mines. CEEC invests 80 million kwacha on 40 fish farmers. Plus, children aged to participate in sport activities. Now, on behalf of the entire news production crew here at Zanis Television, thank you so much for watching. It has been Margaret Kangwa, and to the children, enjoy today's International Children's Day of Broadcasting. Stay tuned.